as Rings of Power Season 2 is beginning to get talked about more and more, I think we need to talk about some more leaks. And this one is quite a well-known leak. Rings of Power Season 2 suggests behind-the-scenes drama. Now, I'm looking at this article, which I'll link below, but there's been some talk amongst people on the inside and so on for a little while, and there was a little bit of drama in Season 1, but I'm going to read out part of this article and then I'm going to talk a little more in depth about it. Creative differences between producers and writers can lead to a complete plot disaster. Rings of Power Season 1 was more than coldly received by fans. Amazon purchased the rights to Lord of the Rings and its appendices from the Tolkien estate and began filming the series, which takes place several thousand years before the birth of Bilbo and Frodo. At the same time, they did not acquire the rights to the books that describe the events of this time, such as the Silmarillion, or Silmarillion. I know, my pronunciation is terrible. As a result, people responsible for the script of Rings of Power were forced to use chronological characters to come up with new stories for them. The example of Game of Thrones last season is a good example of what happens when there's no quality literature foundation. Rings of Power has every chance of becoming just as ridiculous as unsustainable in Season 2. Okay, so I'm going to say this. Season 1 was already ridiculous and unsustainable. Let's be real, it wasn't very good, and it's sort of incel, leg-beard, neck-beard, sex-obsessed virgins that adore this show really need a reality check. I mean, Season 1 was ghastly. The pacing was... I've talked about that in depth, and I'm not going to rant here, but you know my feelings on it. And Season 2, I think, is shaping up to be an even more disaster, because I already talked about leaks that they don't have enough footage, and they don't have the ability to do any reshoots or voiceover. So that's the whole thing because of the strike. According to The Insider, the writers have cut a large number of scenes relating to Numenor, while producers disagree with this decision and believe they should spend more time devoting the particular storyline in second season. The main different lies in the case that it will be necessary to cut other storylines, especially ones focusing on the elves. The decision of the writers, who are, according to an insider, great professionals, seem reasonable. I'm sure the show is written by AI at this point. The show is designed for 5 seasons, and Numenor should play a big role at the end of the Second Age, so it may be too early to give priority as early as the second season. You could easily do a season, several seasons focusing on Numenor. There's a lot there. One of the main fan complaints about the first season was there were too many storylines, none of which were fully developed. Actually, yes, that's not my main complaint. That's not many people's main complaint. The writing is the main complaint. But yeah, nothing felt developed. Everything felt superfluous. The second season is the last chance for the creators of the Rings of Power to deliver a strong, compelling and storyline that doesn't confuse viewers like the first season did. The first season's storyline was a mess, because it didn't have one. It had tiny plot threads interlinked together that didn't connect, that didn't really do much. Even the plots that it was focusing on didn't really come to fruition until the end of the season. Like, there was no story, really. Lots of linear conversations. The disagreement between the writers and producers are not encouraging, but one can only hope that they will come to a conclusion and restore faith in the most expensive and ambitious Tolkien universe project in history. I know they're contracted to do 5 seasons. Amazon are just ridiculous at this point, because essentially, give fans what they want, it will make money. It didn't keep its viewership. The show is extremely slow-paced. It doesn't feel connected. The acting is atrocious. The writing is terrible. The original characters are there just to fill gaps, because they need people they can kill off. There are people like Screen Rant saying, Rings of Power, New Mordor origin story actually fits with Tolkien's mythology. No, it doesn't. It's written down. They rewrote what they had the rights to anyway, and there are 2 characters that are meant to be the implied reincarnation of each other alive at the same time, which is ridiculous. It's just not a good show, and now with this sort of internal struggle going on, leads me to even more worries that this is going to be ridiculous. I do think actors need to stop talking. That's a thing I firmly believe. Like, if actors stop talking and actually, focused on performing for us, because actors at the end of the day are performing monkeys. They're here to entertain us. We don't care about their opinions. It's not that difficult a concept to grab, is it? But I'm looking at the headlines, and sort of the drama behind the scenes is worrying. There's already been some disconnects in Season 1, and with the implied mass reshoots and mass last-minute writing, I want to know where the budget has gone. I want to know where all of this has gone. And I'm pretty sure people like Fellowships of Fans and other people will be taking more money from Amazon to promote this steaming pile of horse. The show is just not very good. And that's ultimately the thing. It's not a good show. And when things like House of the Dragon is far better, far more cohesive, far better written on a far lower budget, it's concerning that this is happening. Honestly, it would be cheaper for Amazon at this point just to can the series, pay the money to get out, and just focus on other things. Amazon can produce really good drama, really good TV, but it's not producing anything of substance or quality here. This is shallow, vacuous, and reminds me of the Shannara Chronicles. Shallow, vacuous CW show. It's embarrassing at this point, and the fact that it can't even sustain its viewership is anything. This show is a meme. The sort of lack of care in creating something here is absurd. I think a generation of people that are watching it are used to bad television. I think they're used to being spoon-fed plot points and characters and just spoon-fed it rather than anything else. It's just not a good show, and ultimately the lack of quality and the drama and everything else that's going on behind the scenes and the strikes, I think have doomed this show. I have a tiny theory, that what's going to happen is that they've already locked into season 3, but just Amazon have a habit of cancelling things. I don't think the show is going to last 5 seasons. If it does, the seasons are going to get shorter, and the budget is progressively going to get cut. And I don't know where the budget's gone anyway, probably on paid promotion. This is just, a lot of people behind the scenes are not happy with this show and that. So tell me what you think in the comments below. I will talk to you guys later.